2012, the wettest June on record, and as the nation prepares for street parties in celebration of the Queen's Diamond Jubilee, another historic event is due to take place early one damp Sunday morning in Wokingham in Berkshire. Honorary Town Council mace bearers Stan Harris and David Ashley Down await the arrival of their town mayor whilst guarding the ceremonial mace.
As my mum said,
the Corps of the Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers, known as REME, is 70 years old this year. REME enjoy the freedom of Wokingham, and they renew this by marching through the town once every 5 years. The parade commander will be invited by the town mayor to inspect the parade, who on this historic occasion are officers and soldiers of the 11th Training Battalion. The parade this year is historic since it will be the last. Based at Arborfield, south of Wokingham, REME are shortly to vacate their home due to their land being sold to satisfy the ongoing demand for additional housing in the southeast of England. First formed in 1942 and having the rare honour of being granted the royal prefix at its inception, REME are responsible for the maintenance, servicing and inspection of almost every electrical and mechanical piece of equipment within the British Army, from the Challenger 2 battle tanks and the Apache helicopters to dental tools and cooking equipment. A young soldier, John Alp, who took part in the first march in 1978, and now Major John Alp, gives us an insight into some of the exhibits at the REME's Museum in Arborfield. One of the buildings in the museum houses a selection of the larger vehicles which REME have been responsible for, and Major Alp explains a little more of one of those vehicles in particular.
So here we have the REME's Challenger's Armoured and Repair and Recovery Vehicle in its Gulf War livery. 60 odd tanks. It's mainly used for the recovery and the repair of main battle tanks. With its blade at the front and its powerful winch, it can pull the 70 odd tons tanks out of most situations, and on the back there is a large crane that's used for lifting the power pack and any other large assemblies from the tank that it's attempting to repair.
I was puzzled as to why one stand within the museum was dedicated to the Volkswagen Beetle, and again Major Alp explains why it's here.
This stand commemorates the involvement in REME in the bringing back the Volkswagen car factory in Wolfsburg in Germany back into production after the Second World War. The factory had been badly damaged and wasn't producing anything at that particular time. Major Ivan Hurst, a REME officer in that area at the time, was given the task of bringing the factory back to production. He used all his skills that he'd acquired before the war in the family business to basically bring the factory back online, building the Volkswagen Beetle. The factory was so successful that after a number of years it was then handed back to the German company, and the involvement with REME and Volkswagen continues to this present day.
Moving into the museum's main building, we find ourselves in the electronics hall.
We're now in the electronics hall of the REME Museum, and what we're showing here is the contrasts in telecommunications technology. Here we have a Second World War radio setup full of valves, diodes, capacitors, and as you can see, very large and bulky. And over here we have a modern communication system that does everything that this system does 1,000 times over, and of course is far more manoeuvrable, portable. Here we are still in the electronics hall, and this is an area that not many people concentrate on, but when you're sat in the dentist's chair, it's an area that you want to get right. So REME, we also look after a lot of the medical and dental equipment that are used both in our field hospitals and also in the dental facilities. And one of the tasks that we do, every few years we go out to Nepal, where we have a look and overhaul and update and maintain all the medical and dental equipment held in the hospitals that the government funds to look after the Gurkhas out there.
And finally, to the armoury.
The personal weapon is the soldier's basic piece of equipment. In here we have lots of different examples of weapons. One of my favourite, self-loading rifle, which is the weapon that I first used as a young soldier back in the late 70s. And in this museum we have lots of different examples of various weapons, ranging from the infamous AK-47 that's used by so many groups around the world, the various Colt 45 pistol, the Thompson submachine gun and the British Army Sten gun. Just one of many examples of weapons that we have in here from conflicts around the world.
Meanwhile, back in Wokingham, the soldiers of the 11th Training Battalion arrive in the town centre.
Still! Still! Stand still! There! Front rank! Right half! Division! Forward. Forward. Steady! Steady! Still. Steady! Carry on! Still! Stand still! There! Rear rank! Right half! Division! Right! Standard! Eight! Stand! Easy!
And whilst Town Mayor Peter Lucy is invited to inspect the parade, we visit the REME Open Day at Arborfield. The REME host an open day every 2 years to include demonstrations by army personnel and parades of some of the vehicles which REME have maintained over the decades. It's a great family day out where children get the opportunity to climb on board tanks and helicopters and have a great fun day. The open day closed this year with the taking off of an Apache helicopter which, as it left, bowed to its audience, as if to say goodbye. The forced move of the Corps from their home at Arborfield Garrison means, of course, that the officers must vacate their mess building, West Court, just a few miles away. Easily missed when driving past, West Court was built in the late 17th century for Charles Howard, brother of the Duke of Norfolk. It remained a family home until requisitioned by the Ministry of Defence in 1941 as the headquarters mess for the REME. All of the land to the left of the impressive driveway will be used for house building, but the fate of West Court itself is yet to be decided and is today for sale with the possibility of use as a hotel. Major Alp himself remembers having cheese sandwiches here for his Christmas lunch on his first visit back in 1977.
As was stated at the beginning of this film, the REME's involvement at Arborfield and Wokingham is now coming to an end, and by 2015, on current plans, we'll be vacating the site and also this marvellous building, which I'm sure will continue and be put to new uses in the future.
And so the last ever REME parade concludes in Wokingham as the band and soldiers, having marched through the town centre, return once more past the mayor, saluting their departure.